I'm in the mood to fight. Here's a question. Would Lon Chaney have made a better Dracula than Bela Lugosi? Because you know that was the plan, right? And it's a major what if in horror history, especially given Lon Chaney's past and the fact that Dracula launched the Universal monsters as we know them today. I'm Antonia Carlotta, and this is Universally Me, the channel for all things Universal and classic horror. My family started Universal Studios, and they made the Universal monsters, including Dracula. Lon Chaney was one of the most famous actors of the silent era. He made a name for himself as the man of 1,000 faces, an actor so talented at transforming into every character he played. In movies like The Hunchback of Notre Dame or Phantom of the Opera, he became absolutely unrecognizable. On top of that, Todd Browning and Lon Chaney had a history of working together. They'd made The Unholy Three, The Unknown, West of Zanzibar, and London After Midnight, to name a few. And they liked working together. Lon Chaney had been with MGM the last few years, and Universal was excited to have him back. But fate would have other plans, and Lon Chaney's Dracula would never come to be. In August 1930, he would tragically pass away from throat cancer. Enter Bela Lugosi, a Hungarian stage actor who had just played Dracula on stage. He got rave reviews for the role, but he was still nowhere near Universal's top choice even after Lon Chaney died. Bela would later joke that Universal auditioned every actor in Hollywood before him. But he campaigned hard, he took a pay cut, and ultimately got the role. And the rest is cinematic history. But what does the alternate timeline look like where Lon Chaney played Dracula? What would he have brought to the role, and how would it have changed the future of vampires and the film industry? Let's break it down. First, transformation. He was not called the man of 1,000 faces for nothing. In every single role, he looks completely different, and I don't doubt that Dracula would have followed the same path. Bela Lugosi gave us an exotic, aristocratic Dracula. He wasn't just a monster, he was a count. His performance was otherworldly, and in many ways he was charming and handsome. But when you look at a picture of Bela, there is no doubt that he is the one playing Dracula. He didn't want to be hidden under makeup, he wanted to be seen. I think Lon Chaney would have leaned much more into looking like a vampire. Just take his vampire from London After Midnight, for instance. I think he would have opted for a much bigger physical transformation, sunken in eyes, jagged teeth, maybe bat-like movements. I think he would have been much closer to like a Nosferatu than a Lugosi Dracula. And maybe we would have known it was Lon Chaney, but maybe not at all. Chaney also would have brought a silent era intensity to the role. Bela came from that world too, but I feel like his theater background really came through. His cadence and his accent when he spoke really did a lot of the work. But Chaney was a master at telling stories with his facial expressions and his body language. I think he would have relied less on the dialogue, and I wonder too if his accent would have been different or if maybe he just wouldn't have had an accent at all. And I believe Lon Chaney would have brought depth and tragedy to the role. I know it's not expressly in the script, but that's what he was drawn to. He was drawn to stories of self-sacrifice and renunciation, and he really wanted to find the humanity in characters, no matter how inhuman the world may have seen them. So whether in his bloodthirst, his love, his fear of being caught, I think we would have seen more pain and heartbreak beneath the horror. I think that Chaney's Dracula would have been less seductive and more cursed, lonely, weary, and desperate for release. When I think of the film itself, some of the modern day criticism of Dracula speaks to scenes feeling a little too stoic or wooden, and I wonder if Chaney's energy would have filled in some of those spaces. Of course, Lon Chaney was also a much more powerful presence in the industry than Bela was. He had years of box office successes behind him and a reputation for wanting creative control over his films. The pervasive rumor is that once Lon Chaney passed away, Todd Browning lost some of his enthusiasm for directing the movie, so Carl Freund may have stepped in to direct instead. And I have no doubt that if we had Lon Chaney both in front of the camera and behind it, we probably would have had a more dynamic Dracula, both the character and the movie. But I don't know if that's what we want. Like, Yes, it's fun to imagine, but so many of the elements that would change with Lon Chaney's Dracula are exactly what we love about Bela Lugosi's. What to some is a very quiet or slow performance, to others is what builds tension, fear, and command of the room. Bela's monster had poise and elegance. He was in control. Vampires have become sex symbols, representative of danger or forbidden romance, and I don't think every actor could have made that happen. I think that that's rather particular to us having experienced Bela Lugosi's Dracula so early. And that's probably the biggest shift of all, and that's why this actually matters. Because it's not just what Dracula would look like today if Lon Chaney played him, it's what would all vampires look like. All of these little what ifs show us how much Dracula shaped culture and changed the entire movie landscape. What if Lon Chaney's Dracula wasn't a hit like Bela's? What if it didn't strike the public consciousness in the same way? What if it didn't save Universal during the Depression? Or if it didn't spur the other Universal monster movies like Frankenstein, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Wolfman, or The Creature from the Black Lagoon? What would Universal be known for today? Would Universal even exist? Would it have the same name? It's so crazy to think how different the entire movie world could be. Would I even be here today with a popular YouTube series all about Universal and the Universal monsters? And if that wasn't enough, if Lon Chaney lived, Dracula might never have been suave and sexy. The cinematic vampire may have forever stayed closer to Count Orlok or a ghoul. Think of the implication on future cultural phenomenons, and don't hate me for some of these, but like Interview with a Vampire, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, True Blood, The Vampire Diaries. Who would teach our kids to count on Sesame Street? So, would Lon Chaney have been a better Dracula than Bela Lugosi? It's hard to say. But different, absolutely. Lon Chaney would have given us tragedy and transformation. Bela Lugosi gave us hypnotic charisma. And in this timeline, Bela Lugosi is Dracula, and nobody can take that away. And it's clear that Dracula, vampires, horror, and the industry as a whole are different because he was Dracula. But of course, picturing Lon Chaney in the cape is some spooky speculation I don't mind indulging in. So let me know in the comments what you think. Is Bela Lugosi your eternal Dracula? Or do you wish Lon Chaney would have lived to get the role? If you love these Universal and classic horror deep dives, make sure you're subscribed, hit the like and the notification bell, share this video with somebody who is ride or die for Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and don't forget paid members get bonus pictures, videos, and more, and it's a great way to support my work. Thank you so much for watching.